Thanks very much, Kurt. My name is Gary Winnick from the Case School of Engineering. It's my pleasure to introduce Deborah Hoover, our next speaker, as part of the regionally based innovation models panel discussion. And let me introduce her this way. On a campus like ours, I would argue we have plenty of talent and ideas, but we've been missing until somewhat recently what I would call broadly infrastructure. And infrastructure means a lot of things, nicely appointed facilities like the one we're in, but perhaps around innovation and entrepreneurship, something a bit more ephemeral, a culture around entrepreneurial thinking, a mindset, a process embedded, as Kurt espoused. And in Northeast Ohio, I can't think of an organization that has perhaps done more for students and faculty and staff as well than the Burton D. Foundation, led by Deborah Hoover as president and CEO since 2007. She's a graduate of Williams College, AB degree, and went on to the University of Chicago for a master's in history of art. Been in Northeast Ohio a number of years since. And during her tenure at the Burton D. Foundation, she launched the Collegiate Entrepreneurs a competition. She was instrumental in partnering with the Blackstone Charitable Trust to launch the Blackstone Launchpad activity here, and also at Baldwin Wallace, Lorraine County Community College in Kent State, so a cluster in Northeast Ohio. And again, the resources, not only financial, but in terms of advice, mentoring networks, student competitions have been extremely impactful for us. And taking a literal page out of Kurt Carlson's book, Innovation, the 5 disciplines for creating what customers want, I'm pretty sure discipline number 3 is to have an innovation champion. And I'd like you to join me in welcoming one of our most influential and most enthusiastic here in Northeast Ohio, Deborah Hoover.
Thank you, Gary, for that very generous introduction this afternoon, and also to Case Western for inviting me to share my thoughts today. I also want to say that I'm giving all of you a sneak peek at our foundation's new brand, which we're not technically launching until next week, but I got out of the office with these slides, so I hope you'll be able to keep it under wraps for the next few days. Our task this afternoon is to explore the concept of innovation ecosystems. So let's first get level set on exactly what we're talking about. Generally speaking, an innovation ecosystem is made up of the network of activities in a region or institution that includes research, disruptive innovation, experimentation, creativity, and iteration, all ideally connected to the activities in an entrepreneurial ecosystem that can churn these ideas into products and companies. I would argue that we need to think expansively about innovation ecosystems. There must be clear pathways to transform innovations in the laboratory into real-world applications that can have an impact on long-term economic vitality of a region. This is important work, and it's happening in many different places in our Northeast Ohio region. Laboratories, makerspaces, classrooms, incubators, accelerators, studios, kitchens, and even tinkerers' garages. It's a team sport that requires the talent and experiences of many. It is the fuel that drives our economy, and we need lots of it in order to be able to generate the best ideas that will gain traction and find their way via commercialization into the marketplace. It is the synapse points between ideas and commerce where we need to apply know-how and targeted interventions to ensure that we are maximizing the flow of ideas into markets. My role here today is to share with you what is happening in our region of Ohio, a region that we consider to be roughly 21 counties in the Northeast Ohio quadrant of the state. I will describe the major players in our entrepreneurial ecosystem, how we are working deliberately to connect innovation and entrepreneurship, and the many ways in which we are helping young people in the region to understand and practice invention and commercialization. Northeast Ohio builds on a rich history of product development, and we are building on that heritage to reinvent our region and drive economic growth. As president of the foundation, the perspectives I share today are based on our foundation's role in the region. Founded in 1967 by an entrepreneur and true visionary, the mission of the Burton D. Morgan Foundation is to champion the entrepreneurial spirit. Morgan Foundation serves youth, collegiate, and adult entrepreneurs by cultivating interlocking networks and transformative opportunities that bring together the best minds and most creative thinkers to achieve ambitious results. Leveraging our extensive experience in venture philanthropy and ecosystem expansion, Morgan Foundation is today pursuing a strategic blueprint that will drive entrepreneurial growth and education regionally and nationally by supporting those with the courage to power our economy. Following my presentation on Northeast Ohio's world of innovation, we will switch gears and hear from dynamic panel members who will share observations on what they see happening in their own regions. After brief presentations, I will pose a few questions, and then all of you will have a chance to ask your own questions. With that introduction, let's look at what many consider to be the pinnacle of innovation systems, Silicon Valley. There's a lot going on in this ecosystem diagram, but of great importance is the fact that innovation activity happening in that region is deliberately connected to what is happening in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. This image captures the intersection of the innovation ecosystem and the entrepreneurial ecosystem, the point at which the rubber meets the road and ideas can reach that critical point of translation where they become reality. In the primordial goo of the innovation pool, ideas are formulated and tested. Ideas morph and change. Some fizzle and fade away. Others take shape and flow into the commercialization pipeline. The innovation pool includes national labs, university research, corporate R&D functions, incubators, and accelerators. It also includes entrepreneurs who recognize opportunities, connect the dots, work tirelessly, think outside the box. That's a little plug for ThinkBox, by the way, and maybe are just a little bit crazy in a never sleep kind of way. When ideas are shared across elements of this innovation pool, the richest possibilities emerge and are combined to optimize their potential. This is why laser focus on clusters of industry and research is so critical to the economic health of a region. As ideas emerge from the innovation pool and enter the entrepreneurial ecosystem, that system has to have key accelerants ready to drive venture development and build a business around that idea or product. This is where the community needs to step in, with mentors, angel investors, networking, just-in-time education, and other talent as needed. Those ideas that make it out of the seed stage require the community of support in a more substantial way. Legal, venture capital, accounting, IT support, and networks of peers to act as sounding boards and cheerleaders. We're talking about years to achieve all of these steps, and the path is certainly not always linear. And many do not make it out of the seed stage. They wither, but gain experience and know-how, and ultimately flow back into the innovation pool to try again, and hopefully stronger and better positioned for that experience. We'll come back to that topic of failure several times this afternoon. The truly successful innovation ecosystem reinvents in itself by recycling its talent, financial resources, and connections back into the innovation pool to fuel the process over and over again. One statement accompanying this Silicon Valley infographic goes like this: people in the Valley's tech industry know that failures are inevitable, but are also confident that any problem can eventually be solved. The work culture allows prudent risk-taking, higher resilience, greater experimentation and innovation, and more shots on goal that increase chances of success. This highly charged and well-oiled machine drives the successes emanating from Silicon Valley. Should every region be working to emulate this environment? Well, let me just point out, you'll see up in the corner there, there's a very big sun that shines on all of this activity, symbolizing perfect weather and world-class recreation that blesses California's Silicon Valley. So maybe this is just slightly better weather than what we experience here on the shores of Lake Erie, but I believe that that harsh weather that we all endure every year builds our character and resolve, and it's part of our own special sauce here in Northeast Ohio. In all seriousness, I think that we've been explicit in recognizing that we are not Silicon Valley. We are indeed someplace else, with our own strengths and challenges, and whatever we create has to capitalize on that world. Case Western Reserve University, through Professor Michael Goldberg, created a MOOC, first featured on the Coursera platform in 2014, entitled Beyond Silicon Valley, Growing Entrepreneurship in Transitioning Economies. The course, now run real-time, a couple of times, engages with thousands of students from all over the world who are struggling to understand what entrepreneurial thinking and doing means to them in their corner of the globe. The MOOC was just featured in Inc. magazine this month as one of the top online opportunities for entrepreneurs and praised for its use of Northeast Ohio as a backdrop to show students how to take advantage of less than conventional means of financing. So how is Northeast Ohio building its ecosystem to connect innovation to entrepreneurship? What's unique to our region, and how do we capitalize on these strengths? We've been energetically building our entrepreneurial ecosystem for more than a decade now. Our venture developers, Jumpstart, Magnet, BioEnterprise, and many others have pursued a targeted strategy to increase the creation and growth of new ventures. We've had considerable success over the decade, some lucrative exits, and a flow of venture capital into our region to grow biomedical and other sorts of high potential companies. And we have much to celebrate, including the recent news story that Cleveland now ranks number 34 worldwide of the top 50 entrepreneur-friendly cities, a source of great pride for our community that has worked so hard to build an entrepreneurial culture. And number 34 is pretty good, but we want to be even better in the future. How did we get to this point in our evolution? We built upon the strengths of our region and tailored the composition of our ecosystem to suit our culture. We focused on manufacturing, the biosciences, polymers, advanced energy, water technologies, and flexible electronics. We've supported high-growth potential companies with investment, education, technical assistance, and mentorship. And we've celebrated the successes along the way and engaged the leadership of the region to promote entrepreneurship and share the stories of bold and clever entrepreneurs. For our region, creating jobs is one of our main goals. We need opportunities for all people who live in our region. Good jobs, accessible jobs, jobs that allow families to thrive. We've set audacious goals for job creation, many thousands of new jobs each year for the foreseeable future. In order to achieve this aggressive goal, we must be able to match job skills to job requirements. We must also ramp up our efforts in both startups and scale-ups and all levels of business development. Our region will prosper when everyone who lives here has real opportunity, and we are making progress. We've ramped up college degree attainment significantly, and we're working on many fronts to connect citizens from underserved neighborhoods to entrepreneurial training and opportunity. Cleveland, along with Detroit, Durham, and New Orleans, is part of a national learning collaborative sponsored by Forward Cities and Aspen Institute. We are all learning from each other about how we can be more inclusive in our entrepreneurial pursuits. This element of inclusiveness should not be underestimated. Embracing diverse perspectives is a pivotal element of all high-functioning ecosystems, no matter where you are or what innovations your region is promoting. So we'll now explore in more detail how the idea generators in our region are linking to those working to create startups and those working to apply innovation to scale companies poised to grow. Ideas are emanating from all corners of the region, from the loftiest of sophisticated research centers to basements and garages where tinkerers toil. Our region is connecting all of these centers of creativity to the startup ecosystem. Are we doing this perfectly? No, but we are constantly working to do this better and be more deliberate in how we approach this work. Once ideas reach the startup community, we become quite adept at how we apply the region's resources to develop ideas into companies. Morgan Foundation focuses on all levels of entrepreneurship, from small businesses seeking to grow through SCORE assistance up to high potential growth through Jumpstart. Its services are broad-based, from business assistance to export mentoring through Burton D Morgan Mentoring Program to talent and capital. Jumpstart, Magnet, Team Neo, and BioEnterprise, and others are well positioned to offer scale-up support. Idea generation feeds not only into our startup community, but also into scale-ups. Northeast Ohio is adapting its startup ecosystem to now also feed scale-up efforts and help companies to grow through targeted assistance. We are concluding an extensive pilot that has taught us a great deal, and we expect to expand the reach of the program in the coming year. Already, Northeast Ohio has had great examples of how scale-up efforts can pay off. Entrepreneurs Edge, for example, has been working for many years with middle market companies through its CEO Fellows program. This summer program places talented graduate students in companies that have an idea that requires research and nurturing to grow. Over the years, the program has helped companies to generate new product revenue, side ventures, and jobs, and graduate students gain valuable, on-the-ground innovation experience. Entrepreneurship on college campuses is a key component of our innovation ecosystem. We have, over the last decade, created a dynamic collegiate entrepreneurship ecosystem that engages virtually every institution of higher learning in Northeast Ohio. We've been intentional about introducing innovation and entrepreneurial thinking into classrooms across the campus and about providing co-curricular opportunities for students to explore ideas without grades or consequences for failure. We believe that we've changed the culture on campuses. From a time 10 years ago when campuses could not even bring themselves to use the word entrepreneurship, to today when entrepreneurship is a catalyst for much of the most innovative activity that occurs on campuses. This cross-campus approach to entrepreneurship serves to accelerate the natural collision of ideas at the intersection of academic disciplines, the magic that can sometimes result from combining concepts and theories from unlikely places. Through my work with the Foundation, I'm privileged to travel around the region each spring and hear idea pitches from undergrads and graduate students. Revolutionary ideas are brewing on our Northeast Ohio campuses all the time. This spring, we heard from Baldwin Wallace students about a new approach to theater for the sensory impaired, from University of Akron students about a device for law enforcement to test drivers for marijuana usage, and from a John Carroll student blending a new, more durable marine paint. What do all these ideas have in common? These entrepreneurs are stepping into the electrifying space where ideas intersect and the unexpected happens. Discerning new opportunities amid changing landscapes, even seemingly chaotic environments, is what really sets collegiate innovators apart. While we've made significant progress on spreading entrepreneurship across campuses, we have much more work to do when it comes to connecting campus innovation to commercialization. This gap became the topic in 2012 for the study conducted by the Commercialization Task Force of the Ohio Board of Regents. This report encouraged higher education institutions to connect more intentionally into what is happening in regional ecosystems and to look at internal functions to understand how to adapt incentive and reward programs that better message about the value of innovative achievements. Cleveland Clinic and the Department of Higher Education entered into an MOU earlier this year with Cleveland Clinic Innovations to conduct an assessment of the medical innovation ecosystem at academic medical centers and research universities in the state. The result of this study revealed considerable assets and enormous potential for our state to be a leader in the nation in medical innovations. Our collegiate entrepreneurial ecosystem has developed into a robust network of campuses and programs that bring together innovators, entrepreneurship directors, and students through programs that connect campus talent and resources. This interconnected mode of working capitalizes on the assets of our diverse campus network, allowing students to hear the ideas of others at regional competitions and boot camps. A great example is the Entrepreneurship Education Consortium, boasting members from 11 colleges in the region and shared faculty to coach students at their annual Immersion Week. Case Western Reserve University has been a major player in our ecosystem over the last decade, refining its entrepreneurship focus, connecting the dots, focusing on its important role as an economic driver in our region, and working with a wide array of strategic partners. Case Western is in the 4th year of the experiential Blackstone Launchpad program, and this program, along with the IP Venture Clinic, will be prominently located in the new ThinkBox facility. The Case Western Reserve University entrepreneurial ecosystem has spawned many student-initiated businesses. Through Burton D Foundation, we get to know the innovators on our college campuses. From this campus, we have many stories to share, from Chris Wentz and every key password bracelet, to disease diagnostic malarial testing device, to Decision Desk admissions management system, to Fresh Fork Market. This campus is generating and developing student ideas at a rapid pace. The Consumer Electronics Show has become an annual tradition, and the university pioneered this idea of including students in this high-powered event. Across Ohio, makerspaces are sprouting up at high schools, colleges and universities, libraries, old warehouses, and factories. Cleveland Public Library boasts the Tech Central Makerspace. Lorain County Community College has Fab Lab, and Case Western Reserve University is now creating the 7-story ThinkBox. ThinkBox promises to inspire a sea change for our region, with a state-of-the-art makerspace open to students, faculty, and community members. Makerspaces are drawing creative people from all STEAM and STEM disciplines, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, to apply their skills with the aid of sophisticated equipment ranging from 3D printers to laser cutters. But visit a makerspace on any given day, and you will see much more than people hunched over sophisticated equipment. You will see individuals with innovative ideas, iterating their processes, failing, pivoting, and best of all, learning from others as they experiment. Makerspaces fuel the creative process through collaborative learning and the camaraderie generated through shared experimentation. The full potential is realized when makerspaces are able to weave entrepreneurial skills into the creative process so that inventors can envision what it will take to bring their product to market. Take the case of Britt Duenas from Stowe, Ohio, who used the Cleveland Public Library Tech Central Makerspace to prototype new role-playing game dice. Initially starting out using the 3D printer, Duenas switched to the Epilogue mini laser engraver to craft intricate symbols designed to appeal to advanced gamers. He then took his idea to Kickstarter, which turned out to be a real game changer for him when he exceeded his original $1,000 fundraising goal by more than $84,000. After several production headaches, Duenas decided to invest in his own laser engraving equipment and credits his time at Tech Central with being the catalyst for increasing his comfort level with the machines and product development. He has plans to launch 4 new lines in his next campaign with an eye on actually moving out of his basement office. This is just one of many stories about creative people in our region who are capitalizing on makerspaces to build their ventures. Just as our region works collaboratively around collegiate entrepreneurship, we coordinate efforts to strengthen youth entrepreneurship opportunities, providing teacher training, market opportunities, competitions, and programming. Drop by a Camp Invention program during the summer, and you will see scores of begoggled grade schoolers deeply engaged with their tools and gizmos, developing the next great invention that will change the world. Camp Invention, a program of Invent Now based in Canton, Ohio, serves 80,000 students across the nation annually. These days, young inventors learn through Camp Invention not only what it takes to create a product, but also how to patent that product and ultimately take it to the marketplace. The first weekend in November, close to 200 youth entrepreneurship educators will gather at University School here in Northeast Ohio for a 2-day conference focused on peer-to-peer learning and partnerships to improve student learning. The event will include keynotes from Shark Tank's Damon John and Kiva's Jessica Jackley. Students who participate in our region's youth entrepreneur market will be on hand to sell their products. This event is a great example of how we are working every day to build the pipeline of entrepreneurs in the region who are equipped to innovate and create products. Last week, I served as a judge for the inaugural Teen Tech Tank competition. High school students pitched their ideas for apps, hardware and software, and 5 lucky winners will pitch those ideas before Damon John on Saturday, November 7th. Culture is paramount, and we have already touched on many of these points throughout this presentation. I just want to emphasize that it is the attitude of a region about failed ventures that is absolutely critical. We have an odd relationship in our country with failure. Whether we like it or not, failure is intricately connected to Americans' individual identity. The reaction of the community to a failed enterprise is critical. The more we examine those failures, learn from them, and move on, the better our region will be. My observation is that we've come a long way over the last decade, but we can do even better. We should learn from Mike Belcito, a Case Western business grad, who over 2.5 years pivoted his e-funeral business many times to position the venture for revenue generation. Ultimately, Mike and his team had to recognize that the idea was not sustainable. Mike went on to author the book, Startup Seed Funding for the Rest of Us, and through the process of shutting down and reflecting on his experience, he has contributed mightily to our region's shifting attitudes about failure. In Northeast Ohio, a key player in this story has been our philanthropic community. The Fund for Our Economic Future is a philanthropic collaborative of 50+ members who have invested more than $100 million now into the region's entrepreneurial ecosystem over these last 10 years. Decisions are made collectively, a dynamic that has educated staff and boards of the region's most active foundations about the role we can all play in promoting economic development, innovation, and entrepreneurship. While innovative ideas are critical, they will remain just that, ideas, until married with entrepreneurial skills that can bring them to life. As Walter Isaacson, president of the Aspen Institute and author of the biography on Apple founder Steve Jobs, has said, "Vision without execution is merely a hallucination." We must do all we can to close the gaps between the innovative ideas that are brewing on campuses, in research centers, and corporations, and make sure that the best among them see the light of day in the marketplace. The more we have our radar up and connect the dots, the more we will realize the full potential of our research capabilities. As we celebrate the opening of ThinkBox this week, we can all rejoice in the fact that Case Western Reserve University had the vision to see that this colossal makerspace needed not only the equipment to support invention and innovation, but also the access to the necessary tools to translate those ideas into new ventures. I look forward to celebrating again, a year from now, the beehive of activity that will undoubtedly echo throughout the building that was once just a sleepy storage facility. Thank you all very much.